As a council member, you have a responsibility to watch how taxpayers and ratepayers' money is spent. How will you safeguard public funds?
City charter gives the city council three major responsibilities when it comes to budgeting. That's working to approve the budget, to ensure that financial reports and audits are conducted, both internal and external, and to make inquiries to staff principals as you monitor the budget. I feel my role in that is to give due diligence as we go through to prepare the budget, making certain that the needs of the city are always met, and any wants, we weigh those out very carefully as to what can we afford and what we can't afford. We always must keep the expenditures below our revenues. So that's a primary fiduciary responsibility for a council person to have that input. The second role then is to ensure to, after we approve that budget, is then monitor it, review it, and ask the pertinent questions as we go along throughout the year. And the third is to thoroughly review our monthly reports to see any anomalies that come about. That can be as simple as asking a question as to what is the funding mechanism for new requirements, where the funds are going to come from. Do we have those in the coffers in the budget to provide? If not, then how do we anticipate getting the revenue to pay for that? Or it could be as detailed as getting a change order on a current project, looking at that, and then making the questions, as I did when we did the Tremere project. Came in with $127,000 change order to move traffic lights temporarily. Well, the questions, staff came back and determined that really what we needed was, had to have, was about a $28,000 change order, and the others we could do workarounds. That's how you manage and make certain that your fiduciary responsibilities, we handle the monies well.
What experience do you have in financial management, and how will you use that experience on the council?
Previous to my retirement, I had 48 years service in the military, and then in government contracting, and in government civil service. There I managed several projects. One was a $27 million project over a 5-year period of time with 37 employees. We had 3 goals. One, to present our proposal, our budget, to be done on time, within the quality, and under budget if possible. For those 5 years, we had approximately 26 task orders, and each one of them was delivered on time, within the budget, and to the quality that the client required. Second project was, I was brought here to Fort Hood to field the Apache helicopter system, transitioning from the Cobra attack helicopter system. That was approximately 600 exchange helicopters with over $100 million spare part, repair part program in the logistics side. And we managed that with 7 audits from the Department of the Army, and each one of them came out with an excellent, outstanding. I can use that experience The last 2 years, especially this last year on the council, we took a $200 million budget with a projected $8 million shortfall. And the council worked extremely well together in bringing that to a balanced budget for 17. And we're working to present to a balanced budget for 18 when it was projected to have significant shortfalls.
Assuming you have no additional money to work with, what is your plan to attack Killeen's violent crime concerns?
It's basically an educational process, but it's also working with as many social organization and professional organization we can to effect a cultural change. We've noticed that this is not a unique problem to Killeen in the recent past 3 years. United States-wide, criminal activity has increased. A lot of that has to do with the economics. And so without an increased budget, we'd still look to see the major reason, the major program you have to have is a very, very strong economic development. Provide jobs to the populace so that criminal activity is less of a motive than you can make more money in business than you can on the streets dealing drugs. And if we can do that and get the commercial side of the house, the private industry side of the house, providing us better incomes, it would go far-reaching. And then getting parents more involved in what their children are doing, how we're culturally exposed back to discipline.
What are your top 3 priorities and how will you accomplish them?
The top priority I have is developing and finding a mechanism that is a long-term funding stream to not only build but repair and maintain our roads. And that's in 2 manners. One is not to continue what we've been doing for the past 5 years, is putting Band-Aids on deteriorating below structure, infrastructure, and then the top of our roads is we're fighting that eternal battle of how do we build the streets, but then with the streets are only lasting 3 to 5 years before we have to start maintaining them, then what funding mechanism do we have to develop that? We need a transportation utility fee in order to be able to do it. I understand citizens don't really like taxes increases, they don't like fees increases. But when it is so expensive to maintain a road, and the more we grow, the more traffic we get. So we must find that mechanism to do that. But it must be fairly based to all the citizens. I opposed it last year because I didn't think the structure right was fair. I believe we can come up with an equitable manner of how we fund transportation utility fee across the citizens, so everybody pays a little bit of share, that everybody uses our roads. The second priority I have is to continue to fund our first responders to not only be adequate, but to provide them the ability to provide us outstanding first responder service. That's for the police, fire, EMTs. Like to see how we increase their training budgets, how we increase and ensure that while expensive, the equipment that they have is what's going to get them out on the roads and back home safely. The last one will tie into your last question, is economic development. It's a high priority that we must look at how we're going to continue to support Fort Hood, prepare it for a eventual BRAC. In the past 12 years, they've decreased by 10,000 authorized spaces. I think we're primed to get those 10,000 spaces back. If we do it right, we research, and we work very hard as a community to develop the process to show BRAC that we can and will be ready to support an increase in soldiers' capacity.
On that note, what would you do to attract new businesses or industries that bring high-paying jobs to Killeen?
I believe that as a council member, our role is to give the policy recommendations to those professional, the Clean Chamber of Commerce and the EDC. I don't believe we've done that. I don't believe as a council we have set out and met with the business communities, the individuals who are trained and skilled to go find business. It's not my job to go find a CEO and tell them to come here. If I have that opportunity, I certainly will, as a citizen or as a councilman. But we have trained professionals who we do that. But I don't believe as a council we've sat down and said, here's target area goals, projections that we would like to see our money spent toward. We give them that guidance, that policy, which is a charter for the council to do. We're not to do the everyday grunge work. Nor are we skilled or trained to do so. If we provide that policy to them, myself personally, I would like to see us go in two areas. The first, naturally, is Fort Hood, to develop. We have a $800 million regional medical facility here. We need to leverage that and provide the support business, cottage businesses that will be highly skilled technical areas in the medical field. Then I think we need to build upon that and target. We have a wonderful opportunity here. We have several facilities at the industrial park right now which are vacated. And so we need to look at target those industries which would be based on that. In order for us to develop a brand new industry here, that would be getting a General Motors motor engine plant, getting Dell to put a chip manufacturer plant here. You're talking 5, 6, 7 years out, and you're also competing with 2,000 other cities in Texas who are really wanting that type of industry also. I would use a strategy of targeting what is our real asset ability we give to someone, and that is Darnall Regional Medical Complex, Metroplex, Seton, Scott and White Children's, and then we have CTC Nursing. We have Texas A&M getting into medical research. We have Mary Hardin Baylor, and we have Texas A&M working with Scott and White. So medical research, medical supply, medical connected industries. Target those and bring them in, and let us be a center of excellence for Central Texas in those medical fields. That would be my suggestion. it would be to the professional people to look at that and say, is that viable or not? But anyway, at the least, the council must give definitive guidance policies to those entities which it has oversight for. I don't believe we've done that well enough, but I think we can. And then we need to adequately fund those organizations to go do it, and not do a scatter blast out and send people all over the world looking for things. You must do it precisely, definitively, and engage the realm of possibility. You know, everything is possible, but what's probable? And we look at the probability of, will that firm even entertain coming to Central Texas? If they're not at that, don't waste our time and energy toward that.